Hi, this is Suzanne from Bridal Beauty Associates, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the appropriate place to put your wedding veil in your hair. There's going to be some universally flattering places, some universally unflattering places, and then places where it's just not going to be secure and it's going to really be hectic on your day, always trying to keep it in place. There are two different types of veils that we're going to discuss in this video. A single tier, and when I say single tier, I mean just that one layer of fabric. It's traditionally going to be either an elbow length or fingertip length, and it's meant to be worn in the back of the head, not flipped over. That would be a double tier veil. It's going to have two layers of fabric. One is going to come over your head, whether you choose to wear it that way or not. A lot of people will call it a blusher veil. The blusher really just refers to the top layer. It's a double tier. You can have triple tiers, and that's traditionally going to have the blusher, either a fingertip or an elbow length, and then a cathedral length. So when we refer to a double tier, it's really just this shorter veil. It's the most commonly seen one, and it's meant to have the ability to put one over your head. But first we're going to talk a little bit about the single tier. Now with the single tier, I don't mean a cathedral length. That has a more specific placement. Cathedral length is that really long layer. If you're like myself, I had a double tier veil and then a cathedral. The cathedral was placed down low in the back to extend over the back of the dress, and then I had my double tier placed in another place. So we're not going to be talking about cathedral lengths right now. We're also not going to be talking about mantillas. Those are single tier veils with a thick band of lace around the edge and all around the side, and they're meant to be worn right up here at the front of the hair. Very, very specific. You don't really put a mantilla in many other places. You can maybe move it back a little bit, but otherwise you're really going to distort the shape of that lace. So for a single tier veil, the most universally flattering place to wear it is the back of the crown of the head. And what that is going to do is it's going to sit nice and comfortably because everybody's head starts to slope back down a little bit there. So it's going to sit right where that slope starts to happen. When you see it from the front, you're going to have a little bit of volume to the side, so you're going to have a little bit of that halo effect, and it's not going to be too far front, it's not going to be too puffy. When you go to your dress shop and they start putting veils on you, depending on the age of the person who's helping you, will determine where they're going to try and stick your veil. Traditionally, veils were worn here. They didn't have separate combs or anything attached to it. They had these thick embellishments that were at the front of the comb. So when you place it up at the top here, you saw all that embellishment. Or they were attached to a little hat or something along those lines. So they were always worn really far up at the top here, especially double tiers. And it just had this really puffy kind of effect. You can see how full and puffy it looks, even with just a single tier. With a double tier, really, it just kind of looks a little ridiculous these days. You look like an 80s cake topper. It's not modern. It's not the contemporary place to wear it. You will look really old-fashioned and outdated. So please don't wear your veils here unless you have a mantilla. Or unless you want that 80s cake topper look. You know, some people are into that. Now, if you have your hair in an updo, like Samantha does, you can place your veil right above the cluster of curls, or the bun, or whatever kind of style your term for the style is. It's going to be a little bit more low in the back, but if you have a comb for your hair, you can go ahead and you can slide that comb in right there so that you can kind of see it there. Or if you have your comb in place and you don't want to have to take the comb out and you're removing your veil for, say, your ceremony or for photos, you can have your comb in first. Slide that down a little farther there. And then slide your veil in right behind it. But again, it's probably going to be from the back of the crown until about somewhere around halfway for the back of the head, depending on how high or low your style is. So that's going to be the most universally flattering, both from the sides and from the front. You're going to have that beautiful haloed veil look without it being like everywhere. So with a single tier, you can wear it anywhere in that back area there. I'm just going to remove this comb right now because it keeps getting stuck to my veil. And stuck in her hair. Okay. So now if you want to show off your comb, I'm going to use a smaller one that won't get stuck in her hair. So say here's your comb here, and you want to show that off, and you want your veil down low, you can place it underneath the hairstyle. Now, this is only going to work if your comb is on a metal comb. On a plastic comb, there is no place to anchor it with a bobby pin. So you want to make sure that you're using a flexible metal comb with looped teeth, because your bobby pins are going to go right into the side of those loops and help to secure this. If you just try and stick this up here without securing it with bobby pins, it is constantly going to be falling right out. One person hugs you, it's going to fall out. You turn your head and it catches the breeze the wrong way, or you just turn your head the wrong way, it's going to slide right out. So you want to make sure that you are always anchoring it underneath with some. So now we're going to talk a little bit about a double tier. Now, you don't have to be putting the blusher over your head to wear it in these places, but we're just going to kind of show you where it is the easiest to do that. Obviously, if you plan on putting your blusher over your head, you don't want to put your veil down here, because there's no way this is going to look right. And after I smooth it, it's just too short. It doesn't work. So if you're wearing a single tier and you plan on putting that blusher over the top of your head, you don't want to secure it down here. Now it looks really pretty with the double tier because it has a little bit more fullness if you're doing it underneath, because it gives this real soft cloud-like look flowing out behind your shoulders. So I really like a double tier kind of tucked underneath here. If you have a double tier that you love and you don't want to do it over your face, it looks really pretty down here. However, if you do plan on putting it over your face, like we discussed before, you don't want to do it right here, because it'll be really puffy and fluffy, and you'll just see the edge of the veil here, which is typically unembellished, unless you have an old-fashioned veil with embellishment on it. So you want to make sure that you're putting it in that universally flattering range, which is going to be from right about the crown of the head, about a third of the way down the hair, depending on where your style is. So I'm going to place it right above this comb that we have in her hair, so that when it comes time to put it over her head, she has this really nice top layer over the front. You have the longer layer that comes out the back, and then you can actually see through the single tier that little bit of sparkle if you have anything in your hair. Now, if she was wearing like false lashes or something like that, or her glasses, you would probably want to do it a little bit higher, just so that there was a little bit more room for the veil to come out. The farther back on your head that you put your veil, the closer that front layer is going to lay to your face. So keep that in mind if you're wearing glasses or you have really long lashes and you don't want it hitting the tool, to make sure that you place it a little bit more farther forward than you would if you didn't really have anything that would obstruct that. So I hope you found this informative, and please make sure to watch our other video on how to insert and remove a veil. Thank you very much.